BVS and Rebirth. So for
Yeah,
our own first episode in this new era of blah blah, it's perfect.
awesome.
We're here to fulfill every one of your dreams. A small nominal fee, it only costs you your
Hello, and thank you for tuning in to Blah Blah Comics Blah Blah Curse Words, presented by the Night Nerd. I'm Derek,
I'm Colby.
and we talk comics sometimes. Hey, everybody.
Hey, oh my gosh, you said that. We're part of a network now.
Yes. We are now on SoundCloud. We are part of the Night Nerd family. Our incomparable producer, Mr. Lance Stanford, was willing to host us on his network, and we are going to be part of this community from now on, as far as I know. And I don't know about you, Colby, but I am thrilled. I am ecstatic.
Yes, I am too. I need to listen to more of their podcasts, to be honest now. But instead of that, I'm happy to be part of this family.
Well, it's a relatively new podcast, The Night Nerd. It's a daily podcast, actually. Lance goes through topics and themes every week and just kind of talks about them for about 10 minutes at a time. Mondays are video games. Wednesdays are comics. Thursdays is throwback. Fridays is listener feed questions. I can't remember what Tuesday is. I think it's movies and TV. Saturday, I know for a fact, is his special day that he occasionally has guest stars, because I figured this podcast is coming out early enough. I am actually the first guest host of The Night Nerd this coming Saturday, April 2nd. Lance and I will be talking about our favorite humor and humorous comics.
Oh, nice. See, it's a good thing I'm not on there because mine are too dour and they're not.
Man, that feels like almost a perfect segue to our first topic.
Oh, yeah.
If we are done plugging our illustrious hosts at The Night Nerd.
Yes.
Dude, we both saw Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice.
Yes, which is, my God, I say dividing a lot of times on this podcast, but I have not seen a superhero film be so much
Divisive.
Divisive and love it or hate it. And so for those who don't know, I don't know how you don't know, the movie, WB was gracious and had a bunch of fan screenings a few weeks before. Fans, these screenings loved it. They went crazy for it. There were standing ovations. So the critics went in, I think, went in with very high hopes, and they kind of knocked it down a level. And then the next batch of early people, which saw it Wednesday and Thursday, which I was lucky enough to be part of that, we saw it and loved it. And then so it's been this constant battle between critics and fans and people wanting it to bomb and it not bombing and all kinds of stuff. So with or without seeing the movie, this has caused such a stir, and I love that by itself, to be honest.
Right. It is definitely a movie that's got people talking. Now, it's so funny that you keep talking about how the fans that got to the early screenings, the fans that got to see it over the weekend, were really trumpeting it, because two hardcore fans that I know really came out of the movie disliking it. Once again, our illustrious host Lance was not a fan, and he's been trumpeting Batfleck for years, ever since the casting happened. He's been talking about how much he was looking forward to that. And then my the artist on the comic I do, Derek, was also very disappointed in the film. And I unfortunately heard both of their opinions quite loudly before I had a chance to see the film myself. And Colby, the audience may not know this, but I have actually not even told you what my opinion on Batman Superman was. And I'm going to hold that just a little bit longer, because I want you to talk about your particular feelings on Batman Superman.
Okay, my particular feelings on it, it is, how do I put this? It is sloppy, it's messy, it's got parts that are kind of weird, kind of there. But at the same time, I went in this film looking at it like I would look at a giant comic crossover event, which is, I knew there were going to be storylines that were going to be here and there, kind of hit and miss. I knew there would be a few things, but I went out of it. I adored it for what it was doing. I loved this film. I really did. I truly can say this. I think Ben Affleck I will say it's true. I think he's my favorite, and I think the best version of Batman Bruce Wayne we've seen. Screw it. We're going spoiler territory, because it's
yes, that is fair. I want that on record. As of this right now point, we are going full spoilers.
Yes.
If you haven't seen the film, do go see the film before you listen to our podcast. We reserve the right to talk about whatever the hell we want. It's our podcast.
And I will say, love it, hate it, the reviews. I do think it's a film people should see for themselves, because even though the trailers gave a lot away, there are some legitimate big twists in it that I did not see coming.
There are two major surprises.
Yeah,
just
like,
absolutely major surprises that you couldn't possibly give away in a trailer. So
yeah, like
I agree.
and I will say that's what I wanted from this film. I wanted a few moments where I wanted to have that fan in me wake up and go, "Oh my god, they did that," and they did that a few times.
Yes, there's one in particular that I will absolutely agree with you was a pure fanboy moment.
Oh, yeah.
We'll talk about that here in a second. So, okay, you have been warned from here on in. Full spoilers activated.
Okay, so despite even Ben Affleck's Batman essentially killing people,
See, I have a thing about that. I actually do. I have headcanon that I think actually you can get around the idea of Batman actively killing someone.
Well,
would you like to hear my headcanon?
Well, really quick, have you heard what Zack Snyder said too?
What did Zack Snyder say? Because I've heard mixed, but I haven't actually heard him say anything.
What he was saying along the lines was he believed that his Batman, it wasn't so much that he was killing people. It was more so that he had seen a lot of stuff. This is, of course, for those who don't know, a Batman who it's very obvious has seen a Robin die, who has seen essentially 9/11 on a huge scale in person, who has dealt with 20 years. So he's not killing people, but if a grenade goes off behind him, he's kind of taking the Christopher Nolan idea of, I don't have to kill you, but I also don't have to save you.
That is actually one of the 2 points I was going to bring up. The other point was Frank Miller's infamous line, "Rubber bullets, honest."
Yes.
If you combine rubber bullets, the idea of rubber bullets, and the idea of I won't kill you, but I don't have to save you.
Yeah.
Pretty much all of Batman's more or less murdery quote unquote actions are actually justified within the film. I didn't actually see him kill anybody. He shot some dudes in a dream sequence, and the Batmobile and the Batwing both have machine guns.
Yeah.
That mostly take out buildings and help them get around. Yes, if they cause a few explosions, but I can honestly take those as collateral damage.
The only one where in the film that it didn't bug me, I was just like, okay, he's dead, was the first Batmobile where he hits the car and the guy hits the wall. I'm like, oh, that hit hard. And then he fishtails with it dragging behind him.
Right.
And it's bumping around like crazy, then throws it at it. But all that being said, I could totally see Batman in the comics doing that as well.
Right, exactly.
Unlike
Man of Steel, I think I would honestly say a lot of this violence is definitely comic booky violence, and then also they did take great pains to say like, we've got it on an island, Rikers is abandoned, or this building is clear of people. They went really out of their way to anti-Man of Steel it and be like, dudes, guys, seriously, there's nobody here. It's okay for us to fight.
Which we haven't talked about. That opening scene may be my favorite Bruce Wayne scene ever in film history, of him going through watching the Metropolis attack from the ground level. Also, how painstakingly they went to match up scene for scene and shot for shot that fight from a ground level is incredible.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that.
And like that was a legit moment where I won't lie, I was almost teary-eyed where we're doing spoilers, but where he saves a girl and he's like, "We're gonna get you to your mom. Where's your mom?" And she points up to the burning half blown up building. And I was like, "Oh my god! I see why he wants Superman gone." I mean, I think everyone agrees, even the worst critics. Batman in this film is by far the most fleshed out, and his motivation is clear.
That's actually one of my problems with the film, though, is that I feel like Batman is the protagonist of the film, and if Batman's the protagonist, then by default, Superman becomes the antagonist, as opposed to making them co-stars.
That would kind of be my biggest fault, too, is that I wish there are, in this moment, this movie does have more Superman doing Superman moments than Man of Steel, which is weird to say because Superman's not even in this film that much, to be honest.
It's true.
But the
moments post the first scene, which I actively disliked hard, he does actually get some very redeeming bits.
Yeah, I mean, it was nice to see Superman like doing the classic. He's watching the news and sees a story going on, and then is gone and is there at the scene saving the people. Him doing showing up to the court case despite everything else happening. To me, that's such a Superman thing to do. Of people that want me here to explain myself, I'm going to explain myself.
Right,
didn't really get a chance to, but
the most Superman line in the movie was followed by one of the most un-Superman lines in the movie for me, but I kind of wanted to hang my hat and hang a hook on that line, which was, Lex tells Superman that he has to kill Batman in order to save his mom, and when Superman tells Lois what's going on, his first thought is, I have to convince Batman to work with me.
Yeah.
His first thought is, we can do this. We can be better than our natures. And then his next line is, or I have to kill him.
Yeah.
Which is like, really, guy, you know, we understand that if that's your thought process, but you don't have to vocalize it.
Although,
but his mind immediately went to, how do I turn this around and make this a positive, which I really appreciate.
Also, I loved him doing little stuff like calling Lois Lane low and just sort of kind of pet talk back and forth. I did like that a lot. It felt very Superman to me. I mean,
it did. I was really appreciative of Lois's somewhat PTSD.
Yeah.
After that first scene, because that's not something you really see in the comics. Is Lois dealing with the life or death situations that she consistently puts herself in?
That is also to me the weakest storyline, though, and the one storyline where I didn't like it too much and I felt could have been cut was the whole Bullet storyline. That kind of
I didn't like it at first, but when it was revealed how much of that was Lex manipulating the situation and the media, I actually got behind it because it somewhat justified the, once again, really myopic take on Superman. Because one of the first things that happened in the film that kind of put a frown on my face was, you know, Lois is trying to do the interview. The CIA guy, the cameraman, is unmasked.
Did you hear who the CIA guy is?
I'm sorry?
Did you hear who the CIA guy is?
No, I did not.
It was confirmed. You're going to hate it.
Was it Jimmy?
It is.
See, that's what I thought. Yeah. I figured it was. And when they put the gun up, I was like, Superman better catch this goddamn bullet. And of course he didn't.
No. Well, because the original plan and the original script was Jesse Eisenberg was originally cast as Jimmy Olsen. That has been confirmed now. And apparently what happened was Zack Snyder was in interviews with Jesse Eisenberg, and no joke, this is what he has said. He said that Jesse Eisenberg kind of creeped him out and got under his skin so much that he left the interviews going, this guy would make a great Luthor.
And I'm going to tip my hand a little bit here. Jesse Eisenberg's Luthor is phenomenal.
See, he is such a love it or hate it guy, but no matter what, his dedication to that role is amazing.
Yeah, I was just so happy that it was something different,
Exactly.
You know? After Kevin Spacey playing Gene Hackman playing Lex Luthor, I wanted something different on screen. I didn't want to see another Gene Hackman Lex Luthor, and thank fucking Christ I didn't.
Yes.
I mean, he may be too Riddler for some people's taste, but I liked it. It worked for me.
I agree. I mean, I can see why there are some people that don't like him. I get it that if you go in there expecting the classic traditional Luthor, he's not that. But at the same time, as two people who have read a lot of the traditional Luthor, he's fun, but we've seen him so much to see a different take and see one that actually, to me, feels like a different threat and one that fits into this world better, probably, than that Luthor. I was really happy. And
well, see, to me, it almost feels like a throwback to Silver Age Luthor, back when he was just a straight mad scientist and had none of the business acumen. I mean, everything we know about Lex Luthor, everything that most people understand about Lex Luthor, came from John Byrne in Man of Steel in 1986. And to see somebody finally go, you know, there was another Luthor at one point, and to play that side of that character, I was really happy to see.
That was, I think I texted you this too, because I was, unlike other people apparently, I was trying not to spoil stuff for you in the film.
Yeah, I really appreciate that,
man. I'm so happy that the biggest takeaway for me is I'm glad that this film had balls and that they weren't afraid to go places.
Yeah.
For better or worse.
Exactly. Do you want me to go ahead and say my...
Yeah, go ahead, because we have like so much stuff to talk about Batman anyway. So
yes. So I hated Man of Steel. I really did not... There were so many things fundamentally wrong with that conception of Superman that I disliked that film very strongly. And I went into Batman Superman really expecting not much. I figured at best I was going to be mildly amused for a couple of hours, and I was really looking forward to Wonder Woman. And I will say, Wonder Woman did not disappoint.
No, it's
but I really dug this film. I really enjoyed it. I don't know if I loved it, but I did really super enjoy it. I'm very much looking forward to the R-rated cut with the 30 extra minutes of footage.
Apparently, that's the cut that they showed the initial fan test screens that got the standing ovations. That was a cut they were shown apparently.
Really?
Yes, they cut.
Well, that's good to know.
Apparently, because Batman drops 2 F-bombs, and they were kind of back a few months ago where there were rumors that they were worried about the direction of the movie. Apparently, that's when they edited a lot of stuff, and they released a scene earlier today. I don't know if you saw it.
I did.
Which does explain a little bit of like how how Luthor knows Darkseid is coming.
Yeah, but it wasn't 100%
Yeah.
necessary to the film either. And I'm also not 100% in love with the idea of Batman saying fuck.
Yeah.
The shit was pretty great. That was pretty funny.
That was a weird thing about that trailer. Is that trailer made so many parts in this film that actually turned out good look corny.
Uh-huh.
Which is weird. Normally that's hard to do.
Right, and actually the biggest sin, I think the trailer for me, and I admit I know why they did it, because Superman wasn't actually on the scene when this happened, but when Doomsday releases his blast and Diana blocks it, in the film she uses her motherfucking bracelets, which was wonderful.
Yes.
Perfect and exciting. And in the trailer, they used a different shot where she used her shield, because then they needed a shot of all three characters standing together. But it gave you the sense of, well, Wonder Woman, that's not what she would do. She'd block it with her bracelets. And then that's actually did. It feels like, okay, well, at least they understand one of these characters. Because, Wonder Woman was fucking perfect. And I am so crazy excited for her film now.
Yeah, Gal Gadot is... Gal Gadot, however you want. Anyway, her, I mean... I know people were out for a while. They were like, "Oh, she's too skinny," and like doing all this weird stuff about her. She nailed that character to a point I don't think I've seen even in the comics. And I think Brian Azzarello was the last person I saw that like, okay, that's Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
So her cast was great. Ben Affleck was great in this. Like casting wise, I mean, I think I texted to you. We in the Avengers films and few we have had moments where I'm like, oh, this is comic book come life because of Zack Snyder's style of shooting and how he does it. This was the first film where I walked out going, this feels like a comic. I mean, this almost feels like one of the DC animated movies if it had a $300 million budget. To me, that's kind of what it felt like.
I don't know if I give it that much, but I did really enjoy. There were a number of things I liked about it, and I will say another thing you mentioned earlier that the trailers made look corny that actually worked was Batman grappling away from Doomsday's heat vision.
Yeah,
actually really worked in the film.
It really did. And there, even like little lines like in the trailer, like, "Oh, I thought she was with you," which they made it like in the trailer was like came off okay, it's okay. In the film, it came off actually kind of funny and like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, and especially because, Superman has just flown back on the scene, and Batman and Wonder Woman are kind of there, and that's why Superman's like, is she with you? Because he hasn't been around to see what's going on, and Batman, could easily make the connection of, oh, I thought, she was coming to save your ass. It worked!
How awesome, though, was that? Just especially Wonder Woman at the end, a couple of her lines and just her facial expressions, like the whole line of Batman being like, it's a monster from another planet, and her going, I've killed them before.
Yeah.
And then, like, when Doomsday knocks her out and she gets up just smiling, like, finally, there's a challenge.
Yeah.
It was
like I
so
said,
good.
Everything Wonder Woman was wonderful.
It really was. And, oh my God, the entire Batman going to save Martha scene, to me, might be the best action Batman scene we have seen on, like, screens. I went nerded out that entire scene.
Yeah, and there's a reason I think they put that in the trailer, because that was really the saving grace of the trailer for me. That's when I first was like, okay, I'm actually going to see this movie. Yeah. Was that action scene. And you're right, because Christopher Nolan doesn't know how to direct action.
No, he doesn't.
So, and then, the bat suits from the first 4 movies would not allow that level of action. Yeah. So, yes, I absolutely agree. That is the best Batman in a fight we have ever seen. Oh my God.
Like, there's just so, and then, of course, all the Dark Knight Returns shots. Like, for one, Batman going through the wall to me will never get old, and the whole line and the straight Frank Miller line of that it made me gasp, where it's like, I'll kill her, and like, I know, or I believe you, and then shoots a tank or shoots KG Beast's tank. I was like, oh, they just combined like 3 things out of nowhere.
Was that KG Beast?
Yes, it was.
Motherfuck, I had no idea. That's 2 characters I actually wasn't sure. Yeah. Like, I figured the photographer was probably Jimmy, but I had no idea that was KG Beast.
Yeah, and which, again, for those who don't know, in the longest time, it was in canon that Batman killed KG, well, pretty much.
Well, the thing was, who was it, Jim Starlin, I want to say?
Yes.
One of those guys in the 80s, he basically casted Amontillado, KG Beast. Bricked him up behind a fucking wall to starve to death, and then later, I think another writer, either Denny O'Neil or Marv Wolfman or somebody, like, retconned it and was like, when I walked outside, I told the police he was behind the wall. Yeah. But, the initial writer meant for him to die.
Which also, not only was that line awesome of the I believe you, but then going straight into a legitimate joke that I thought was actually funny, which was, I'm a friend of your son's. Like, I figured with the cape.
Yeah, no, that was actually pretty fantastic.
And we haven't talked about it, but the scene that made my brother almost jump out of the seat and made me too. I think for non-fans, it was confusing as hell. But for fans...
Yeah, my friend Kayla didn't get it at all.
Yeah, but for fans, seeing fucking Flash in the Speed Force suit coming back through the Speed Force... How awesome was that we saw... We see that in a live-action film?
That to me was on the same level as seeing Kirby's Eternals in Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah. It really was.
To me, I was just like... Because for one, you have this entire nightmare sequence where like... Okay, this clearly looks like, for fans, it's like, okay, this looks like it's on Apocalypse, or they've turned Earth into Apocalypse kind of thing. Mm-hmm. For one, there's fucking parademons, and you see a parademon up close.
Yeah, like, yeah, exactly.
Holy crap, what is going on? And then you see, like, in basically Superman from Injustice or a few other things coming up and killing people like, you stole her, you took, you ruined my world, she was my world, and all that stuff. And then it wakes up and you're like, oh my god, I can't believe I saw that. Immediately to be greeted by Flash going through the Speed Force, and like, no way.
Time traveling, yeah. That was a real fanboy boner moment for absolute sure. Now, I do kind of feel like we're lauding a lot of praises. We've talked a lot about stuff that didn't work. I do want to say the film has some legitimate pacing problems.
It does.
I didn't feel them. It didn't bother me, but I know a lot of people were unhappy with the runtime.
See, we may be the wrong people talking about it because I honestly followed the story fine. I didn't really have a huge problem with the pacing. And then from what I've heard, the 3-hour cut, it's paced a little bit better and explains a little bit more stuff. But I think it might be, and this is kind of a cop-out, but I think it's true. I think so many people that love the film are fans, and they're used to, like I said, when you're reading a comic crossover, you almost have that same effect of, you have to kind of fill in the blanks because not everything is going to mix, and we really pay attention to that stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely not as precise as the Marvel films.
Yeah, I mean...
And I think that may actually be one of the reasons someone like yourself is really super digging on it, because I know you, in particular, are getting tired of the traditional Marvel formula.
And what's weird, I think this helps Marvel for me because I've been having Marvel fatigue because so many of their films have the same tone and same story-esque. This almost allows me to recharge my batteries. Mm-hmm. And kind of do what I do when I read comics, which is I can go from DC to Marvel, and I want more of both. And I kind of feel that now because I've gotten this other taste. And once again, I appreciate that they're going a different route. Because they could have easily made a copycat Avengers film. It could have been light, it could have been fluffy, and it could have been exactly what that was, paced the same.
And I really hope that Justice League does go in the lighter, fluffier direction. I really do. When you introduce characters like the Flash and Aquaman and Cyborg and change the dynamic of the film, I feel like there's a chance to bring a lighter, more jovial tone.
I know Zack Snyder's talked about Justice League Part 1 will be a lighter tone because he said his exact words were Flash and others. He didn't really say Green Lantern, but there were hints at possible. But he said, especially Flash, there's a sense of humor and an optimism. And James Wan talked about with Aquaman a similar thing where it will be lighter and a more action fun film going on.
Yeah.
But I do like that they're not afraid to have those dark elements because a lot of people are complaining about the darkness, and then a lot of people are coming back saying, "Have you not read these comics in 40 years?"
Well, I was not thrilled with the darkness either, but then again, also, I mean, I did not expect them to do Death of Superman. Yeah. And not only did they do Death of Superman, they outdid it how they did it in the comic, because in the comic, Superman and Doomsday fucking punch each other to death.
Yeah.
In this one, it's actually a sacrifice. Yeah. Much like what I kind of wanted to happen in Man of Steel, if they had actually bothered to introduce Kryptonite in the first film, Superman could have attempted a sacrifice of himself to stop Zod using kryptonite. That's exactly what he did with Doomsday. He depowered himself enough to get stabbed through the fucking chest while trying to stop this unbeatable monster.
And at the first time when it first happened, I'll be honest, I kind of think about it. I was like, I didn't love it, and then the ending, and then at first I didn't love because of course they're going to show, that he's coming back. But then when I thought about it, it's like, okay, well, for one, they kind of have to show he's coming back because everyone knows he's coming back. Why tease it? We know it's coming. Why not just kind of do what they did?
Yeah, it's not like Henry Cavill hasn't been talking about how much he's looking forward to being in Justice League.
Yeah, exactly. And two, it is Superman. It's like, it'd be like if Avengers end with Iron Man dying and him actually...
Look, we all know Captain America's going to die in Civil War, and it's going to feel like a huge knockoff of Batman and Superman to to laymen. So I think that's kind of hilarious that DC bit the bullet and got the earlier release date, and now Marvel's going to be the one who looks like they're playing catch up by killing one of their major heroes.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. When you set up a precedent of, we're not afraid to, maybe we don't kill them for good, but they won't be on screen time as much. They're going to be in the grave. I know people are mad because they didn't end it with 100% him being dead, but it's like, okay, no matter what happened, you knew he was coming back. I think in the long run, it is much better if they set up that, okay, he's coming back.
Right.
I also like the idea of the more and more the fight went on with Doomsday, the more and more he started to resemble Doomsday from the comics.
Yeah, I was totally okay with that.
Not just
because that's how Doomsday's powers work, actually.
Yeah, like seeing. I mean, we're spoiling everything already, but
we talked about it.
Yeah, how badass was that Wonder Woman cutting off Doomsday's, cutting his Achilles tendon, cutting off his hand, and having the once again the Wonder Woman stuff. Like this is a movie I did not think so, but like Gail Simone has been slightly defending it a lot because for one, she loved the Wonder Woman stuff.
Right, as well she should, because the Wonder Woman stuff. Even as someone who likes this film, the Wonder Woman stuff is still by far the strongest and most important part of this film.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't talked about it. For one, Alfred in this film actually felt the most like Alfred. I was shocked.
I was so surprised. Like, Jeremy Irons is a fine actor, don't get me wrong, but I did not expect him to commit as hard as he did, and every line out of his mouth was a snarky comment about Bruce trying to kill himself. It was kind of great.
It really was. I mean, this is the problem with this film is I think even the people that hated it even the negative reviews mostly admit that there are really great casting and some amazing moments. And I don't think he's getting enough credit because we're talking about, this Batman feels right out of the comics, this Wonder Woman feels right out of the comics. That Alfred is out of the comics. I mean, that is dead on, and not to mention...
Honestly, his Alfred was better than Michael Caine, and that seems impossible because Michael Caine was the best Alfred we'd ever seen, and now he's been topped.
Yeah, I mean, and he's not even being talked about, but he was. I mean, there were so many lines, like you said, of just, of just great moments where it's like, that is an Alfred line. That is...
I remember seeing an article I didn't click on because it felt like clickbait.
Yeah.
But I remember seeing an article talking about how Alfred wasn't a butler in this movie, and it's like, how can you fucking tell?
Yeah.
What part of this is not Alfred from the comics? Just because he's not actively serving tea and wearing a fucking tuxedo doesn't mean he's not this character we've all known for all this time. I mean, this is who Alfred is. Sure, he makes sure that Master Bruce has a bath every once in a while, but he's also the guy that sits in the Batcave and remote controls the Batplane when he needs to. It's fucking right straight out of the comics, for sure.
He may have been introduced in the best way ever with when he walks in the Batcave and he's kind of making fun of the voice modulation and messing with it and testing the line, going like "fluffy bunnies jumping" or whatever.
Yeah,
it's like okay, you've hooked me on Alfred there. Also, I'm not a huge fan that they did a retread of like showing Batman's origin, but I will say possibly the most like visceral I've ever seen that origin told on screen.
I don't know. I wasn't super happy with it either. The one thing that got me was, and this was something that actually I could, I've seen a couple people online talk about how they really dislike this part. Like this was the part where the movie jumped the shark for them. For me, I've actually never made the connection that Bruce's mother and Clark's mother share a first name.
Yeah.
And from that direction, everybody, with the exception of Greg Rucka, has always focused on Bruce's father as the flashpoint, the source of Bruce's trauma, with the exception of his mother's pearls. It's always been, Dr. Thomas Wayne and his mom's pearls. Yeah. No one's ever really focused on Martha as a character, with the exception of Death of the Maidens and Greg Rucka. So for Martha to be such an important key part of this film and to be that initial bonding point between Clark and Bruce, that was fucking phenomenal to me. Yeah. I don't understand why people are. I can understand if people didn't like it. I don't understand why people are saying that was a jump the shark moment. Yeah. Because to me, that was the first hint of genuine emotional bonding between two people. Yeah. Is my mom died, your mom is in trouble.
Yeah.
And you're trying to save her. Yeah. Okay, maybe you're not all bad. What can I do to help you?
Yeah, I've seen the same thing. That's one of those moments where. That's one of those dividing moments where, from the fan point of view, at the theater we were at, there were people tearing up and like almost crying from that line, and then you hear critics rip it apart, and it's almost like, okay, well, I know you may not like it, but you've got to recognize that it is having an emotional effect on people, and whether you like it or not, it kind of works for these characters perfectly. Also, I circle back a little bit. I said visceral just because that how he shoots Martha at the beginning, where it's like the gun hooked under the pearls.
Right, which is a very Frank Miller thing.
Yes, but that shooting, like, to me, that just hit me like, oh, it's brutal. It's also what he did perfect. Zack Snyder, he does two things well, which is action and like horror scenes. And that's the one thing I think most people, even that hate him, will say he does action well. The tone for Batman, I loved how a lot of the Batman scenes were treated almost like a horror movie. That's what Batman's supposed to, like. Batman vs Superman isn't just good versus dark, light versus dark. It's a tone. It's supposed to be in the comics, and kind of in this film, kind of a fight of thriller versus action, or thriller versus hope, horror versus drama kind of stuff. And I did like the play, especially there was a legit jump scare where the entire theater jumped during the bat busting through the coffin thing.
Yeah.
That's a side note. I just like that. It's the first time I can think in a while where there were like really horror elements really shown with Batman on screen.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny that you mentioned that it's horror versus drama, because it does feel occasionally overdramatic in a way that I was not in love with.
Yeah.
They really, I am really, really super tired of sad Superman.
Yeah.
And yeah, again, much like Man of Steel, I feel like Snyder misses the mark on what Superman actually is and actually means. But he got closer to the dartboard this time for me.
I agree.
And especially there at the end, especially when Clark actively decides to sacrifice himself.
Yes.
I felt was an incredibly strong moment, and the world's reaction, even the people who had, initially misjudged him, came to realize what he had done and what he had meant to the world. That rang genuine and honest to me.
It did to me as well. And the one thing about Snyder I have noticed, and I've seen interviews, and I think a lot of people do miss him, but others appreciate. For one, he is definitely a fan. He is someone that we've talked about earlier how important it is to care about these projects, and even if he misses the mark or not, he cares enough to where he wants to make sure that it's not missing the mark so much that I know some would argue that he already ruined it. He's also got this weird idea, which he's talking in interviews, and I wonder if it's his way to kind of make Superman, if he's slowly getting closer every time, because he was talking about in order for Superman to, in his universe, he wanted Superman, in order to become man, have to die first, as figuratively shedding his alien skin and being reborn as a man. And I'm wondering if that's kind of his way of saying, when he because he's already said Justice League Part 1 and 2 will have a different tone and will have funner elements. I wonder if Superman coming back will essentially be, and a good excuse, even if it's just on a studio level, say, bring him back like this, if we do get that Superman where he's even more like the all-star, like the runs we love, where he's closer and closer to that version, and he's literally growing in front of our eyes as a character. Because I would love one day to sit down and watch Man of Steel all the way to Justice League Part 2 and see an evolution of Superman from beginning to the character we really wanted. That may be hopeful thinking, that may be whatever, but
yeah, I wish I could join you in that. I don't have that much faith in Snyder as a director anymore. I used to,
yeah,
but I don't anymore. And I don't think, for better or for worse, in my opinion, worse, I don't think that's Snyder's vision of the character.
Well, I mean, I don't know, because I mean, it's of course him talking very ambiguous because he can't say what it is.
Right.
I have some faith in it. Although what people are missing too, because I see a lot of people saying, "Oh, well, just Zack Snyder should be taken off of Justice League. He should be taken off." Blah blah. One, this movie, I know a lot of people wanted it to bomb for whatever reason. If they haven't noticed, it's making a ton of money.
Yeah. Yes, I'm really hoping those numbers maintain, because that's a big thing. You can make all the money in the world your opening weekend, but if you drop 80% between opening weekend and second weekend, you're considered a failure. I mean, numbers-wise, as good as this movie's doing, it's got to make $1 billion to be considered successful, because of the marketing costs, which is fucking ridiculous. but it is the case.
Well, they're already close. If you look at worldwide, they're already about halfway there, which is insane.
They are halfway there, and yeah, that it is insane, but it doesn't mean they're going to make it. And I hate to be that guy.
Well, I agree. I agree, but at the same time, like they got more. The weird thing is they were originally projected to do like 160 million on domestically, and then they lowered it after the critic reviews to 140 million, and then ended up doing 170 million.
Right, having the biggest February weekend opening ever, and a couple other records it broke.
And it's also now the fourth highest opening for a superhero movie. And I hear a lot of people like, oh, they took the three most popular or three of the most iconic characters ever, and they couldn't even beat Marvel. It's like, okay, well, Marvel had 10 years to set up Avengers and Avengers 2 and Iron Man 3, which are the top three openers. The fact that Batman v Superman made number 4 on its first, it's not even Justice League. This is the first film, second film, but the fact that it already is in that ballpark says a lot, I think.
Agreed.
Because I see that a lot. People are like, oh, they didn't make as much of Avengers opening weekend. It's like, okay, well, no shit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I can't even, I wouldn't even try to defend that. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, so I really don't know why people expected that, but the fact that it's like people are mad this movie's making money, and I am upset at that, because I don't care if you like the movie or not, but critics, fans, you don't have right to be mad a movie is doing well, really.
Right.
I mean, even if you're upset that, I wish we wouldn't get more of these, at the same time, you should be happy that if you care about these products, there's so much interest that it is making money. And I know that people go, oh, we'll just keep making shit. It's like, well, you know what will happen if it doesn't make money? They won't make any of it. That's kind of the world we live in. Whether you like it or not, if it doesn't make money, it's not going to get made. Like if this movie had come out and completely bombed, the DC we either would have continued on, but we wouldn't have seen this. We probably wouldn't have seen Batman, Superman, or Wonder Woman for a while.
Not just that, but yeah, the budgets for the movies that are already in production would have been slashed considerably.
Yeah, we would have gone from all these amazing things that could happen, like seeing those cool flash moments, to we probably would have finally got the Death film from Vertigo, which, better or worse, hey, the biggest comparison I've been making, speaking of that, because a lot of people have asked me, like, well, what do you think this, compared to comics, what do you think this is? Compared to Marvel films, what do you think this is? And I'm trying to look at, like, comics, and I think I've realized Marvel Comics, and this just sounds weird, but it kind of is essentially doing, if you compare it to comics, what Vertigo was doing in the late 80s to mid-90s. They're releasing a lot of stellar stuff, a lot of incredible work, like every single time they're hitting out of the park, essentially.
Right.
I could be wrong here, but visually and what they're doing, I think DC, as of right now, is essentially doing what Image Comics did to the industry in the 90s, for better or worse. Where I know people may get mad at it, but you've got to look at where... But you know what? Whatever you want to say, there is probably style over substance, but it's so damn stylish. And
it is goddamn stylish.
And at the end of the day, this is two super people punching each other, and as much as I care about story, as much as I care about all this awesome stuff, Zack Snyder shot a fucking awesome fight. And it's called Batman v Superman. They had a good fight. Let's be honest, if this is WrestleMania and the main event doesn't deliver, it's remembered badly. This is Batman v Superman. The fight looked good.
The fight looked good. I was a little disappointed at how close Batman came to winning.
I say, in my books, he got to win. Hey, he could have stabbed him at any moment there at the end. But I also, oh man, that's as a fan. Once again, I think that's a big thing about this movie. I know a lot of fans keep raving, and people are like, "Oh, it's not just for fans; it's for more people." That's true, but also it's cool knowing there's a film out here where Batman was wearing the fucking Dark Knight outfit. I mean, dead on. Like, how cool is that? Who thought we'd live in a world where that would happen?
I figured it would happen eventually. I didn't expect it to happen in this context, you know?
Yeah. And not to mention, not only that, but a world where the same film that happens, you have the Speed Force, you have Doomsday, you have hints at Darkseid, you have all this crazy stuff where it's like, how the fuck? No one thought this would happen.
Right,
like,
yeah.
If you look at Death of Superman, when it was coming out and go, hey, DC in a little while, their second film, they're going to do that storyline. It's like, no, they wouldn't do that. No, yeah, it's going to be a big connected universe, and that's their second movie. So, the one thing I am worried about, I know where you go from here, but I don't know exactly how how much more they kind of like what Marvel's running into now, but because DC kind of jump started theirs, like they're setting up Darkseid. You can do some awesome stuff, but once you go past there, it's like, man, you're already starting off so big.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I know that there'll be some awesome films and stuff, but it's like, man, you did Death of Superman with Doomsday. You're clearly aiming towards Under the Red Hood or some kind of effect of that. And the rumor is, Ben Affleck solo Batman film is being fast tracked, which no brainer.
Right, absolutely.
Turns out Batman makes money, especially when there's a good Batman.
Well, Batman has always will always make money.
Which,
he is the character that they bet every franchise on.
And once again, I know it was in the trailer.
Son of a bitch.
Oh, whoa. Language.
Sorry, I just discovered a shirt that I really like has a hole in it.
Oh, that's always a disheartening breaking moment there.
It is.
It really is. I know it was in the trailer, but that line still gets me every time of them talking like, maybe it's just a Gotham in me, but we have a bad history of freaks dressed up like clowns.
Yeah.
And like seeing the Robin costume again and all, I know there's so much speculation about what's going on. And that's the other thing, the line about, which seems to be honestly close to Jason Todd line where he's like, what if he's on our side? And he goes, Alfred, we've been doing this for 20 years. How many of the good guys stay good? I love that line. Batman has some very Batman lines in this film that are great.
Well, like I said, he's very clearly the protagonist. You're very clearly supposed to see the film from his point of view.
Yeah.
And that diminished Superman to me in a way that I dislike, but not enough to dislike the film.
Yeah.
I feel like Superman is mishandled, but again, I feel like it's not as cripplingly as in Man of Steel, to the point where I am actually okay with it, especially considering how much of it turns out to be Luthor's manipulations.
Yeah, and I know back and forth there's also talk about a lot of people have trouble with why Luthor was manipulating people and how he was doing it, and the fact that he knew so much about the Justice League, which we haven't really talked about that. We could probably talk about that in a minute, the cameos and stuff.
Yeah, we've touched on it.
But that's another moment where she's opened, basically for those, you guys know, you should have seen the movie, when she's opened up the different files. I know some people thought they were very ham-fisted, which I didn't have that feeling. Like, to me, it didn't feel like it was that much of a side story. Like, it felt somewhat natural to me.
Yeah, it's like, to me, it was very similar to what was attempted in Amazing Spider-Man 2 with setting up the Sinister Six, but it was handled much more intelligently. It was handled much more smoothly in story, as opposed to bringing in the shadowy figure that nobody knows and already having the wings and the octopus arms in the tubes, which I liked, but I know a lot of people didn't. Whereas this is just, here's a dude with super speed kind of already doing good things over in Central City, and, stolen footage of some machine trying to explore an old trench and discovering some form of living life there.
My one complaint with the Aquaman thing, I loved him taking off and like breaking the sound barrier underwater and stuff.
Yeah.
It was weird. Like, I know that it's like, oh, it's Jason Momoa, it's Aquaman, we want to have him on camera. It was kind of odd having him just stare for a while and then and Cyborg, I liked it, but I see why some people don't, because it is a very horror movie vibe.
Yeah.
But the mother box, I knew it was a mother box.
It had to be, because it's very New 52.
Very, and like I said, that clip they released today, where it's obviously showing, if not Steppenwolf, someone from obviously the Dark of Apocalypse using a mother box to teleport away.
Right.
And it is that same thing. And like I said, it's New 52. Jeff Johns probably has some hand somewhere involved, and I don't know if he's a producer on it, but I'm not sure. I know some people don't like that they're not doing after credit scenes. I kind of appreciated it, to be honest.
Yeah. Honestly, I did too. I mean, what can you do in an after credit scene at that point that we haven't already seen?
I know some people are like, oh, I'd love to see Darkseid, or I'd love to see Apocalypse or something, but like, I kind of like that they're not going to like, they're doing Darkseid, they're doing them first, and Avengers are doing Thanos, and actually around the same time, which is kind of weird. But I appreciate they're going a different route than doing what Marvel, because Marvel showed Thanos. I like that Darkseid's kind of way hidden in the background.
Right.
And you kind of get the sense that, okay, Luthor, when he opened the door, like he said, the bell was rung, all this other stuff, you get a taste of something that's coming, but I think that's ultimately a problem a lot of people had, which is this film, how a lot of Marvel films, they're not one and done by any means, but they are normally pretty wrapped up in a nice package of beginning, middle, end, this is this.
Right.
This feels to me, and I keep saying it, but very similar to comics where there's a lot of unanswered questions. Much like comics, much like it kind of takes a lot from comics, which I think is cool, where as a lot of people know, you'll start like issue 1 or 2 and something will happen in issue 3 that a lot of times won't be handled until issue like 15.
Right.
And this has those moments of, okay, that's interesting. I wonder what's going to happen there. I think the general public and a lot of critics have been kind of trained by the Marvel method to go, okay, this is what happens, all done, wrapped up nicely. Oh, and there's our tease at the end. I think this film, however, had 4 or 5 teases throughout the film.
Yeah, that movie had more endings than freaking Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. It had several of like, although I like the idea that, I think the best part about Superman being dead, I really like that Bruce Wayne seems to be the one that has to assemble the Justice League. Mm-hmm. Because if Superman's around, it's kind of like, okay, we have Superman. Why do we need a Justice League? We have Superman. Whether you know about him or not, I can see that argument of, okay, well, they have Superman. So
not just that, but, also, again, Superman is very clearly the protagonist of the film.
Yeah, and also, like I said, had he survived...
Batman, Batman's protagonist.
And had Superman survived the Doomsday fight, it'd been like, okay, well, we obviously don't need other people because Superman just took down this man by himself.
Right, yeah.
So it's cool that you have Wonder Woman and Batman essentially going out to get their other members. I know some people are upset that we don't know about certain, like Green Arrow, Green Lantern, all those characters we don't really know. We know they're probably going to come eventually. We don't know how. I'm okay. Right. I know like Martian Manhunter is another one where it's a fan favorite to a lot of people. Some people are really happy Cyborg's kind of taking his spot. Some people aren't.
There's room in the Justice League for both Cyborg and Martian Manhunter.
And I mean, DC's got so much lore and mythology that I hate to say this, but unlike Marvel, where Marvel characters, you kind of get to a point of Marvel where they have a lot of characters, but you get to their C and D team, and a lot of those characters don't even have that many fans. I think a lot of DC, like Black Canary, Green Arrow, which are not low, but like solid B level characters, have cult followings. And of course you have like all the Suicide Squad, all the villains, all these people. For whatever reason, DC, the Marvel world may be more beloved, but I think a lot of the DC characters just attach to people's hearts, basically. And like, that's my character, I have to see him. And I think DC does have room to play with that, and especially if they open up the opportunity for kind of what they're doing TV shows with the multiple dimensions. Uh-huh. And if they allow something like a crisis film to occur, I think that is where they could go past Darkseid. And I know they're not going to connect their TV and movies, but I do love how we're setting up mother boxes in Darkseid while the TV is setting up interdimensional travel, and both are clearly aiming towards a crisis at some point.
Right.
I still think it'd be an incredible just if they pulled the rug out from everybody and it does end with Barry Allen meeting Barry Allen like Justice League Part 2 or something. I know it won't, but that would be like the ultimate, oh my god, wait, well, they just did that?
That would make me incredibly happy. I'll admit that I would be satisfied at that point.
You have a cosmic treadmill in one and a Speed Force suit in the other one we know of. It's like, it can happen.
It could totally happen.
They're one crisis away or one mother box away from Gus or from any of the Flashes just being like, where am I? And turn around and see another Flash and like, uh-oh. That's the thing about this film. There is so much to dissect. And there is a lot, like I agree, I can see where people are coming from on a lot of the negatives, but I think overall, at the end of the day, I'm looking more forward to the DC future of films than I thought I would be.
I will get 100% behind you on that. I am too.
Yeah, like I knew I was going to see these films because I love DC, but at the end of the day, I didn't know I was going to be like, I need my Wonder Woman movie now. I need my Batman movie now. I need Justice League Part 1 now. I need Suicide Squad now. I didn't think I was going to be that way. And it's like, these movies could all come out the next 5 days and I would sell stuff to see them because I'm interested in this world. And although a lot of people didn't like that this movie jumped around, I think by jumping around so much, it inherently made a bigger world. And I think that's why people may feel weird about it, because the Marvel films, even though they've taken place in galaxies and on all stuff, for whatever reason, the world kind of still feels relatively small. This world already, just the nightmare sequence in this and this movie, to me, already feel like there's a world of possibilities that we don't know about.
There's an argument to be made there with Guardians of the Galaxy as a fulcrum point.
That's true.
But I'm honestly too tired to make it.
No, I agree with and I can see the argument. I agree with a lot of it, but I think that maybe the problem of Marvel films answering so many questions. Mm-hmm. Also, this has got to be made. Oh, I know we talked before, but I hate saying this. Love him or hate him, I still think Luther may have been the best villain we've seen in a while. Especially people keep comparing Marvel films to DC films. I know a lot of people, they're like, "Oh, why was Luther doing this? Why was Luther doing that?" and stuff. Like, I think people who understand it and maybe followed better, or just in their heads it made more sense, whatever it was. Mm-hmm. To me, Luther's idea, and he seemed like such a more viable threat than so many of the Marvel villains have. And they did the great thing of, he's not dead. He's in jail, which means he can totally come back.
And he pretty much has to, yeah.
Yeah, and also, not only that, but they went out of their way to make sure that is Alexander Luthor Jr.
Yeah.
So if they ever want to pull the kill, as DC loves to put a backdoor in stuff, if they ever want Bryan Cranston to walk in as Luthor, they still have that opportunity.
That's absolutely true. I didn't really even think about that, but that's fantastic.
Yeah, that could totally happen too. Oh man. So we talked about that. We got other stuff to talk about, so we may want to jump to that before we just.
Yeah, we've been going for almost a full hour just on Batman Superman. We had 2 other topics we wanted to get to. We may only be getting to one of them.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah.
Do you want to stay on the DC train, or do you want to derail over to Marvel?
You know what? Let's do, because this is our first episode with the new network, and because they just announced Rebirth, we may at least talk a little bit about Rebirth, and
yes,
may jump over. So they announced a lot about Rebirth, and I think overwhelmingly what I've heard, most people are excited for it.
Yeah, this is incredibly positive. I think the overall response has been very, very excited, as opposed to the DCU responses, which unfortunately were very tepid. It feels like an interesting course correction in that it's not the rejection of DCU that I think you and I both were afraid it is or was, but it's definitely a callback to things that made DC work even prior to the New 52. I am absolutely fascinated that, for example, Dan Jurgens is writing a pre-Flashpoint married Superman.
Yes, and you combine that with like seeing the DCU Batgirl and Black Canary, and it's a really interesting world going on. And plus, the creative teams are actually pretty awesome.
Yeah, Hope Larson on Batgirl is tremendous. That is one of the highest profile indie creators. Her sister just won a fucking Oscar. I mean, both of those women are up and coming talents, and to put her on one of your highest profile indie friendly superhero books is a tremendous show of faith in her as a creator, and that is very exciting to me. And
of course, the one a lot of people are most excited about, if Scott Snyder's not going to write Batman proper, to get Tom King to do it is a pretty good idea.
Yeah, I am there, despite the fact that apparently David Finch is the artist, which means at best we're going to get 5 issues in a year.
Well, here's the best thing too. It's one of the double shipping ones too.
Exactly. Yeah. So I mean, I'm not thrilled with the artist. I mean, David Finch is a fantastic artist, but he's not the quickest artist.
Yeah.
But yeah, Tom King on a Batman book is ridiculously exciting. I love what I've heard about Detective also making Detective a team book written by James Tynion, who has been, one of the most consistent spines of the Bat universe since the New 52.
And of course, I love that you kind of have still have Snyder there as like the overlord in the corner, giving him all-star Batman. And I love the idea, kind of like the story he wanted to do forever ago, with taking different artists and basically, I was watching interviews. The basic plot and overall idea of it is, Two-Face, his idea of Two-Face is, it's not so much this duality as much as he sees the part of you don't want to see. And whatever's going on, he knows something, and so of course, people are after him. So it's essentially how he phrased it is Mad Max Batman going across the country with Two-Face as all these different villains are trying to get him.
which sounds terrifically exciting. That's honestly one I'm probably going to end up trade waiting for.
Yeah.
But I am very excited for the trade.
And the artist on that, I mean, of course, it's Scott Snyder, and he just signed an exclusive deal to DC. He can get whoever he wants, pretty much. And you have John Romita Jr., you have fucking Paul Pope, you have Sean Murphy, you have some incredible artists coming, and he also has some indie artists on there too. I don't have their names on me now, but he got some like up and comers too, which is, I love the fact he's doing all-star Batman, and you're gonna have people who the first time drawing their Batman is next to Paul Pope and Sean Murphy and John Romita Jr. That's awesome. Then you have Peter Tomasi taking over Superman, or is it Action or Superman? I can't remember. It's Superman.
Superman. He's getting Superman. And Dan Jurgens is doing Action, and Action is going to be the throwback. But they're not getting rid of Gene Lang. Gene Lang is writing a new Superman and a 16-year-old Asian kid who gets superpowers, Superman's powers.
God, could they do like more just perfect for him? Just like, we like what you've done before. Do that again here.
And also just... It feels like Kurt Busiek's Secret Identity, but with the added element of making him not, the Midwestern farm boy trope, which could be really interesting. I'm not going to lie, even without a creative team, I am super excited to see what happens with Super Sons.
Yeah, I am too, having Batman son and Superman son. I know it sounds basic and to the point, but that's kind of amazing what it should be.
Exactly, especially since one of them's Damian Wayne.
Yes, which once again, I love that. Oh, and then of course we haven't talked about, but seeing Tim Drake in the Robin outfit again. Have you not seen that picture yet?
Yes.
Oh yeah, but
I haven't. I'm very happy to hear that.
Yes, I believe it's on the cover of Detective. Is Tim Drake is in his Robin outfit, not the Red Robin, his Robin.
Oh, thank God. That is so cool.
But yeah, it's making a team book where essentially the detective sounds like a boot camp of some kind, where you have Spoiler, Tim Drake Robin, Batwoman, Cassandra Cain, and Clayface, from what I've heard.
Interesting. It's so much potential. I mean, there's just between the writer, I can't remember who's drawing it.
I can't either. We didn't mention a freaking Greg Rucka back on Wonder Woman.
Yeah, I was kind of saving that one because I have to admit I am a little heartbroken that for whatever reason Marguerite Bennett will not be writing Wonder Woman, because I was really excited to see her take on the character. But Greg Rucka has had one of the most celebrated runs on Wonder Woman in the last probably 20 years, and to bring him back to the title is no mean feat. And as much as I'm trying to scale back my comics purchasing, I am absolutely 100% buying Tom King's Batman and Greg Rucka's Wonder Woman for goddamn sure. Yeah. Oh, and then there's so many cool possibilities on this one. And then of course you have a Justice League, which I know there's a couple Green Lantern ones. Jeff Johns is writing issue 1 with oh my God, I can't remember his name, on New Green Lanterns. Right.
Which has
apparently he's kind of coming back to the title.
I have no clue.
Because for as much as they've tried, I feel like the Green Lantern books are slipping in popularity since Johns left the helm. I mean, they obviously still have a lot of faith in Venditti. He's still taking over. Sorry, I'm sure that sounded terrible. He's still on like the main proper Green Lantern book, but they've got Johns back on there. The other one I was just kind of out of nowhere that I really thought was exciting. I want to mention it before I forget it again. Phil Jimenez, who also had a pretty celebrated run on Wonder Woman as writer and artist, will be writing and drawing the Superwoman book.
Yes.
Which, it's Lois Lane, right? I mean, somehow Lois is going to get powers, and they're doing an actual Superwoman book, and that's fucking exciting.
I'm guessing, and then there's a few like Suicide Squad, which is, I can't remember who it's written by, but it's a few of the issues and overarching plot or overarching team lead is Jim Lee. Mm-hmm. Then you have you have Justice League of America, which I don't know who they're going to get for that, because they keep on teasing it's going to be big, and they haven't announced who that team is yet. But
the Justice League book is Brian Hitch writing, and not Jason Fabok.
It may be.
Who's the penciler? You told me the penciler.
I did. It may be Fabok. It may be.
It's not Fabok, because I was disappointed Fabok was losing the book. But it was to a big either up and coming name or a name that's kind of established, like Jason Fabok.
God damn it!
I'm gonna go through your text to me, because
I had this list, and it's gonna bug me too, because I know I had the entire list.
We're semi-professional podcasters.
Oh yeah. Oh, okay. Hang on. Here, just so you can be on. And then you have Dan, like you said, Dan Jurgens doing a lot. Terry McGinnis is coming back as Batman Beyond, which is cool for me.
Christopher fucking Priest on Deathstroke.
Yes, that was a big one. Oh, we didn't mention that
I
one.
may have to buy that just because it's Christopher fucking Priest.
Yes. Another name where it's like legit shocker that, oh, wow, they got him. Wow.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he obviously has to have a story to tell because he wouldn't take a book like this. Oh, Tony Daniel. It was fucking Tony Daniels on Justice League. Which his fill-in issues of Justice League were actually really fantastic. Also, he did that really short-lived run on Action Comics with Andy Diggle that you were a fan of.
I like the fucking Tony Daniel, that young up-and-comer.
Yeah, guy who's been in comics for 30 years.
Yeah, that's still, but yeah, exciting to get there. Of course, the one I know that you weren't necessarily excited about, but it's cool. I am glad it's called The Hellblazer, and you have Simon Oliver writing it. Which
I don't know. I'm hoping it's apparently a team up book of Constantine and Swamp Thing.
Yes.
Hunting down Abby Arcane, which could be good. I don't know. It could be too much of a throwback. I don't know. I'll pick up the first issue because, like I say, I've really adored this current Constantine series, and I'm going to be sad to see it go.
Suicide Squad. Rob Williams is the writer, and Jim Lee and Philip Tan are the art.
Rob Williams of 2000 AD fame, which could be really, really good.
Oh, and then Trinity, which is Francis Manapul.
Yeah, writing and drawing, which I remember like a couple of years ago reading that he was really looking to break from Brian Bucoletto and write his own work. Yeah. And that, again, is a super high-profile book.
It really is. I was going to circle those. Knowing that they haven't announced the JLA and who's doing it, I really wonder if they have something big up their sleeve.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to just start speculating and get my hopes up or anything, but the fact that they didn't announce it at WonderCon, but they teased it as something big.
Well, they also teased Jason Fabok was involved in something big.
Yeah, so I really wonder what's going on exactly there.
Yeah, I mean, who unless it's Scott Snyder, who do they have in their pocket that would feel like a big name? The only thing I can think of is if they snagged a Marvel exclusive writer.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's the case. I don't see anybody migrating from Marvel right now.
I don't either. I really don't know. Unless they do, if they work magic and get Morrison or something again, which, who knows? Crazier things have happened.
Dude, considering how much they've let him get away with the multiversities, and they definitely seem to be doing a lot of bridge building with him.
Yeah. And
I could see that happening.
Wonder Woman Year One's coming out, or Earth One's
this
coming
month.
out. Yeah, which, actually, now that I say it out loud, that's not as crazy as in my head. Like, I could tell.
As soon as you said that, I was like, holy shit, that could actually be makes total sense.
If they announce something like a Morrison Quietly or Morrison Burnham or something like that, and be like, this is our leading book, I would not be shocked.
See, I could see it being Morrison Fabok, honestly.
That actually would make sense too.
Fabok's doing a monthly book, and he's on Justice League right now, and he's Fabok is kind of the epitome, for better or worse, of current DC house style.
Yeah.
So putting him on your lead book with Morrison would be that would be tonally consistent with what DC is trying to do or has been trying to do.
Yeah, and like we keep saying, Morrison's kind of had a renaissance of his career. It would make sense that if he did one more JLA type thing.
Yeah, I mean he's doing a second multiversity. I could see him going back to the well one more time.
He's doing a Batman Black and White, like volume whatever, but he's kind of in control of it. He's got a few things with DC. So actually, now that I say it out loud, that really could be, and that would be one that they would wait to tease at a bigger event, kind of thing, or a bigger time.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be, man, because that's all I can think of, unless it's like Azzarello or someone else that they turn to every now and then.
And I don't see Azzarello. The only other name I feel like having any kind of cred it would be Snyder. Yeah. And I feel like with Snyder signing the exclusive and making the All-Star Batman reference, I feel like they'd pull a Columbo and at the end have him turn around and be like, oh yeah, I'm also writing Justice League.
Actually, that could be.
It feels like it can't be him.
They've also teased. Well, actually, they've also teased. Cause I know Capullo. He's doing this, but he said he's coming back to DC. So unless it's like Snyder Capullo on JLA or Morrison Capullo on JLA, which would be very weird and interesting.
Oh God, that book would rock so many fucking balls. I don't even know. I can't verbally express how exciting that would be.
That really, God. In fairness, if they want to do a real rebirth and they want to like kick it off, even if it was just like a short 6-story arc, if they got that, that's name credit. That's about as name credit as you can get on a book that is about as name credit as you can get.
Yeah, exactly.
So really quick, did you get a chance to read Batman 50?
I did.
You know what? I know we have. That's one thing about this. I'm curious how it goes. 'Cause I know we have 51. I believe it's 52. I'm curious because there's a few months gap, if I remember, between Tom King's Batman and this. I think at least.
I believe so.
Which I wonder what's going to happen in between, because it is just a gray area where there's nothing. Because I can't see him doing that. But anyway, Batman 50, which is the end of Super Heavy. I liked it. I think it was a cool idea, and I do like how it kind of made Gordon the hero of Super Heavy.
I liked it.
Yeah,
I did. I liked it. I loved issue 49. I really liked issue 50. Like I said, issue 49 was so goddamn good, it actually kind of turned me around on Snyder's run on Batman, and issue 50 felt like a continuation of that for me.
Yeah, and I did like we said about Batman kind of. I do like the very meta thing of it was the stupidest thing in the world to make Jim Gordon Batman. He's not Batman. How dumb is that? I like that. I like the him basically saying, saying, Batman does stuff in the shadows. He does stuff. We need someone in light. Of course, always quoting the whole White Knight, Dark Knight thing, but we need someone else. We need a real hero. Batman's not a real hero. We need someone real. I like all the meta stuff there. Was it for what it was, for especially being essentially the penultimate end, or not essentially, being the end to Super Heavy and the penultimate end to, a 51 issue run now, possibly 52 whenever it ends, but over a 50 issue run. The comics it's rare for a comic to get 50 issues in this day and age, much less essentially the same creative team on almost every issue.
Yeah.
That's insane and a huge accomplishment. And not only that, but one that I don't think, to my knowledge, I don't know if since Snyder and Capullo took over, I don't know if any single issue of Batman got just negative praise, just negative critical review overall.
Okay, overall. Because I was going to say, dude, I've definitely heaped some scorn on some of those issues.
Oh, yeah, but I'm talking about, on a meta score, if you will, of 7 or lower. I think 7 is probably the lowest on meta score they have gotten on a comic.
Wow.
Because almost everything I've seen, it's 9s, 10s, 4 out of 5s. It's always that pretty much. And even their lesser stuff, like you said, a lot of times their lesser stuff, they do something in later issues. They're like, well, man, I need to revisit that now.
Yeah, definitely.
So that ended it. And also, I feel like we haven't. We'll talk a little about it, but we're going to jump over to Marvel now because we've given DC a little over an hour. And I hate this because Daredevil Season 2 came out. By itself, that should have and could have been a podcast. But once again, Batman Superman, like you said earlier, they may have bit the bullet, but this time and being in between stuff may have actually ended up helping them more than anything. Because I watched Daredevil Season 2, and then I watched Batman Superman, a week later, and now all I can think about is Batman Superman, even though Daredevil Season 2, I liked it.
I adored Daredevil Season 2. I thought it was better than the first one. In fact, I thought it made the first season look like shit, and I loved the first season. Honestly, it was some of the best TV I've seen in ages, and I know there are people out there who disagree with me. In fact, one of my favorite critics and one of the people I most respect the criticism of, his entire sole review of it was, well, that sucked a lot, and I kind of wanted to stop following him on Twitter because that didn't feel like a
I wouldn't say
that didn't feel like a real review. And also, I really loved it. I loved every moment of it. I thought it was more or less perfect, and I'd like to give a deeper, more thorough examination of the show, but we're gonna have to do that in the future.
Yeah, I'll say, I liked it. I don't know if I was just in the wrong head, so I powered through it. I watched it in about 2 days, I think, and I kept my attention. I liked it. I liked who played Elektra. I had early on, I had some problems with her, but I think over time, I really liked her a lot. I'm trying to think of it all. I liked how they handled Punisher.
Yeah.
I loved the court case stuff, and I loved I think overall I really liked it. I think it was weird because I was talking about earlier about Marvel. Season 1 felt very one and done, where this one opens up so many more doors, which I do appreciate. But at the same time, it was kind of jarring going from, because Daredevil Season 1 and Jessica Jones both were basically like one and done. And once again, I like that it's connected to Jessica Jones stuff. I do wish it maybe once again connected a little bit more. Like, I like the name drop, and I like that.
I was way happier with the fact that it didn't. Honestly,
Okay.
I really was.
I think
just having Jerry Hogarth there, and then not having any. If you hadn't watched Jessica Jones, there was no reason to, get nerdy or geeky about Jerry Hogarth being there.
Yeah.
But if you did, it was a nice little treat to the fans. I actually thought the name drop was a little over much.
See, I actually agree. As much as I wanted more Jessica Jones, that was one that felt forced because it's like, there's this girl named Jessica Jones that's causing trouble. Like, that wasn't what I will agree. Like, I liked, because I think I ended up liking Jessica Jones more than you, but
yeah,
I really loved that season, and I was kind of, the more they go on, I want them to connect more. And once again, it's the biggest problem with all this stuff where it's like, okay, well, she lives like down the block technically. If there's a hostage crisis, why isn't she helping, kind of thing.
Right, exactly.
That's the only problem I think that's the only problem in my head I had, where I know it's the quote-unquote Avengers problem or something, but it's even worse when it's like, okay, she lives 5 blocks that way.
Yeah, she is also in Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah, and Luke Cage is and she's at the end of the season wanted to be a superhero, so I was halfway expect, especially like during the hospital stuff. I was halfway like, oh, I wonder if she's gonna. Okay, no.
Yeah, they can't quite afford her.
Marvel and Disney, such shallow pockets.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and one of the things that really bugged me about Jessica Jones was Claire Temple's 2-episode cameo was so unnecessary.
Yeah.
That it felt shoehorned in. So she served a purpose in season 1 and season 2 of Daredevil. Less in season 2 than in season 1,
Yeah.
but at least it made some amount of sense. And they brought her back the second time in a way that kind of justified her being there the first time this season. But yeah, there is such a thing as over-tying in, and
Yeah.
I feel like if Jessica had made an appearance, that's the case. Now, having said that, if Daredevil were to show up in an episode of Jessica Jones and be like, and they get in like some kind of fist fight, and he's like, "Hey, not bad, kid," that would actually I feel fit better.
Well, Jessica Jones, that's my biggest crime. Even though I loved that show, I still hate the fact that she needs a lawyer, and they didn't just like have a cool crossover like, here's Matt Murdock.
Yeah, exactly. Without Daredevil ever showing up.
Yeah, that to me, to this day, that's something I am so upset about. Like, you had the perfect opportunity to tie in right there and there. Like, you cannot. I don't think they did that. Well, they definitely did it on purpose. But like, if you tried to write it better, you couldn't have, because it was so natural and so like, oh, she actually, this entire story, she needs a lawyer. She needs stuff. She's in Hell's Kitchen. They need a cheap lawyer too because of what just happened. Oh,
right.
Okay, never mind. They're just gonna. Okay, never mind. The rich lawyer is going to come down to her level. Which, like you said, it ties in nicely overall. It was cool seeing Fisk back because I really didn't think we'd see him.
Oh God, that was my favorite part. So hard, so much. I loved it. I love the reveal.
My favorite part was actually right after that scene, Punisher, where he sends him to go kill the one guy, then betrays him, and Punisher just kills everybody.
Yeah.
And once again, I do like. Speaking of action, it's very, very different action, but the action is still very great in Daredevil. I mean, once again, if I can't even say that it's a very gritty action, but very good. And a couple parts which I was like, oh, they did that. And
it feels like they toned it back a little bit because there was definitely no, like, Jessica Jones just went over the top gore for me in a way that I was uncomfortable with. And this season of Daredevil definitely didn't have dude driving a spike through his eyeball.
Oh, I did want to say there was one problem I had in the first story arc, the first 4-episode story arc. I don't know if it was just the mindset that it felt like they were trying to tell Batman Year One and Killing Joke for some reason. Like, there were a couple scenes where it was straight up a Batman scene, like for how Punisher's introduced, where it's like the crime family coming together and eating this big meal.
But that's such a Punisher thing too.
It is, and then like straight up, like the one thing that bugged me so much in the trailer is still there and not really any better, where it's the straight up Killing Joke monologue of One Bad Day.
Yeah, that was not great. But come on, man. The
That'd be
Kitchen
good.
Irish thing was from Garth Ennis's Kitchen Irish story arc. That wasn't a Batman thing. That was very much a Punisher thing. If anything, it was Garth Ennis doing a Batman thing, and then the Punisher show doing a Garth Ennis thing.
I'll agree to that. But to me, in my head, like they just seemed like these real, and I think more so it's because it's tones, it's stories that Batman has dealt with a lot in stories of like, well, you know, what's the difference between, like, kind of like we were talking about earlier, between not saving someone and killing someone.
Right.
I think because it dealt a lot with that, but also, in fairness, that did lead to Daredevil having some really cool moments and being very, very Daredevil. Of like even the horrible guy, and like after he learned he had killed an old woman for no reason, him still wanting to save him.
Yeah.
So it did lead to some great stuff. I had some problems there, but I feel like the show, as it progressed, got better and better and better. Elektra, I did. Like I said, I didn't love her at first, but I did like what she turned into a lot.
I did. I really did. That was honestly pretty much more or less a perfect version of Elektra, I think. The best version of Elektra that you can get on screen. It distilled a lot of the Millerisms into an actual character.
Yeah, no, it did. And like I said, I know I sound lackluster about it, and I not mean to. It's just because I'm so fresh off the heels of Batman Superman. But like I said, it's just, which, once again, why is it's so weird that because of course they didn't coordinate, but it's like we're going straight from Daredevil versus Punisher to Batman versus Superman to Cap versus Iron Man.
Well, the Flash and Supergirl are going to hang out and have a good time.
I know. I do. I know that meme's been going on a lot, where it's everyone hating each other knows to taking a selfie.
Yeah,
I do love that fact that it's like they're hanging out, and I do like that. A lot of people point out that Suicide Squad, the film about villains, somehow they're getting along better than all the heroes.
At least in the trailer.
Yeah, at least in the trailer, and who knows what they're. And that's. Let's see. I'm trying to think now. So we have Captain America in May, and then Apocalypse in June.
May.
Is that also in May?
Yeah, it's Memorial Day. It's like May 26th.
Oh, and then is Suicide Squad in August?
Yeah, Turtles in June.
Turtles in June. And
Doctor Strange in November?
Wow. I am somewhat worried about Strange just for the fact of I know they haven't started the hype machine on it yet, but there's a really weird lack of hype so far. Outside,
we've seen some photos.
Yeah, but I mean,
I'm actually really happy that we're not getting the 2 years in advance trailer for Doctor Strange. Let that movie happen.
I'm happy too. I'm just like I keep saying I am. That's one thing I am now feel better about, because Daredevil had like some straight up stuff where even though they didn't want to admit it, they left the door open for it to being completely magical related.
Uh-huh.
I don't know why Marvel seems so hesitant about just going, it's magic. Outside of Thor. But even then, like, it's science and magic.
Indistinguishable from magic.
Yeah, I just want some magic in my damn stuff, and that's what I do like about, like, I think why Batman Superman I like so much, because, like, Wonder Woman, obviously, that's what I don't know how they managed to do. It's like, Superman that's something that no one talked about with. Superman did feel alien to me. Batman felt human, and Wonder Woman did feel, like, mystical and magical, and you're like, what is going on here?
Yeah, that's true.
That's
a good point.
Yeah, I don't hear anyone talking about it, but to me, that was the biggest accomplishment of, like, oh, wow, that is a dichotomy. And I did love the idea of, like, the picture she wanted back, and it's like, oh, the big reveal is, oh, shit, she old.
Yeah. And that was Chris Pine, Steve Trevor standing next to her. Yes,
it was actually pretty cool, and seeing her, like, and they released a picture of the Amazons, which was cool.
Yeah.
Although, this is what I hate about people, where they're like, it's almost like they want to get angry, where you had all these people going, like, they're supposed to be Amazons, why? That's all whitewashed. It's like, okay, that's supposed to be your immediate family, come on, give them somewhat of a break.
Yeah, that's actually, I know I always name drop my favorite podcast on this show, but on their most recent episode of Wait What, one of the two guys was like, I am so sick of internet hate right now, mostly because so much of it feels manufactured. You know, there's nothing to actually get mad about, so people are trying to find reasons to be angry.
Yeah,
and that's just no way to live.
It really is. I mean, to me, that's the perfect example of it. They show a picture where they're like, look, guys, here's an early picture of fucking Amazons that we're going to see on a screen next year. And these are the family members, and some people's first response is, how dare this family all be the same color and race? It's like, Okay, I know Amazons are all different colors, all different races, and they've even said they have casted a lot of people, different race, different colors, different ethnicities. You don't have to be mad at every time.
Right.
I mean, you just don't.
It's exhausting.
It really is.
It's exhausting.
Just be happy. We live in an age where it's like, it's a female-led fucking Amazon movie.
Directed by a woman as well.
Yes. How about we step off the brakes for a second? I love diversity. I love this age, but I don't want to be mad. Like you said, it's too much to be mad at everything.
Yeah.
And it's cool and awesome that, to me, that we, like you said, we live in a world where I don't complain that much anymore. I just saw Batman and Superman look like Batman and Superman on TV, on screen, while on TV I'm watching Daredevil and Punisher, looking forward to Captain America and Iron Man, and talking about Suicide Squad film. I as a nerd, I don't think I have much to be like, how dare they?
Yeah.
I'm tired of that. Like I said, I'm tired of that mentality too, of how dare they make this movie but not make it exactly how I want it to be made.
And honestly, man, I think that's a good note to end on.
Yeah.
Fuck hate. Some things are actually pretty great.
Yeah.
Things are worth enjoying. Sometimes you just have to enjoy something on the face value that you're being given.
Yep. Sometimes don't look for the hate. Just look for the love. Especially if it's the obvious thing that's fucking there.
Yes, exactly. I love you, man.
Oh, thank you. I love you too.
Awesome. Well, this has been the newest episode of Blah Blah Comics, Blah Blah Curse Words, happily supported on the Night Nerd Network. If you want to get in contact with Colby and I and tell us how we're all wrong and hate's awesome and Batman Superman sucked, you can find us on Twitter. We have a podcast Twitter at Blah Blah Podcast. I am at Voodoo Ben.
I'm at Hellhound F5.
You can also email us, blahblahpodcast, all one word, at gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook, Blah Blah Podcast. And, we're probably going to start posting stuff on the Night Nerd website eventually, but for right now, it's just a podcasting thing. So keep a look out there. And like I say, check out Lance's show. It's fun and awesome. And, thank you guys, as always, for listening. We love each and every one of you.
Yes, love is in the air.